post-2011, there were a very few examples, a handful of positive representation of the Jews, like a documentary called Jews of Egypt, which I invite you to Google, released in 2012, telling the story about, it's a documentary, so it featured some of the Egyptian Jewry who fled particularly to France. And there was another one called the Jewish Quarter, which was released. It's a TV series fiction released in 2015. And again, it tells positive stories about the Egyptian Jewry during the 40s, accusing the Muslim Brotherhood of being the main conspirator against the Jewish interest. But this series was attacked heavily by, I have to say, Qatari-sponsored media like Al Jazeera and the other outlets here in London. And this anti-Semitic discourse hasn't diminished despite the Abraham Accords. The recently there was, in 2020, there was a leading Egyptian actor who was photographed in Dubai in 2020 with an Israeli singer, and he was suspended from acting for a short period in Egypt. Now, the religious and political discourse, I promised to finish, played a key role in shaping this myth of the hateful Jews and disseminated by an entertainment industry, thereby disconnecting the Arab Jewry from the Arab region while confining their loyalty to the State of Israel. And of course, if you ask Egyptians about this, as I quoted some of them, but they will say, we are Semites, so you can't tell us that we're anti-Semite, but there are former Muslims who attack Islam, so what do you call them?
During the 11th and 13th centuries, the Muslims of the Middle East waged a defensive jihad in response to the Crusades' conquest or attempts to reconquer the Holy Land. During the 15th to 17th centuries, the Ottoman Turks waged offensive jihad against Christendom, conquering Constantinople and attempting to conquer Budapest and Vienna in their drive to penetrate Central Europe. Ultimately, the Ottomans were pushed back. Now we are in the midst, in my view, which isn't necessarily shared by my co-author of the book, Dror Ze'evi. Now we are in the midst of the fourth wave of jihad, which many Muslims define as defensive, the current wave of jihad. They, including bin Laden, see this jihad as an effort to repel Western Christian aggression and penetration of the Islamic world, culturally, economically, militarily, and politically. This wave can be said to have begun with the anti-Christian pogroms in Damascus and Lebanon in 1860. The centerpiece of this wave to date has been Turkey's assault on its Christian minorities during 1894-1924. One may also include in this the Muslim effort to destroy the Jewish Zionist enterprise during the 20th century. Most Muslims and Israeli Jews view Israel as a Western outpost in the midst of the Muslim Arab world, and certainly the rise and ongoing activities of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and more subtly, Turkey's diplomatic and quasi-military activities are expressions of the continuation of this fourth jihadi wave against the West.
Once the Abrahamic Accords have been signed between Israel and the United Arab Emirates, an investment package of around $10 billion. You can imagine, we are talking about Israel and all Gulf states, approximately $1 billion. But just after signing the Abrahamic Accord, there is $10 billion has been announced in the sector of technology. We have to put it between two quotations, because Israel is advanced country in technology. A short time after signing the Abrahamic Accord, the volume of trade between Israel and the United Arab Emirates only jumps to reach $1 billion. Besides this technology deal for long term, the trade jumped to be $1 billion. Please move forward. In May 2020, there is something big happened. Yes, indeed, it's something big happened. It's Israel and the United Arab Emirates signed the free trade agreement. Consequently, the volume of the trade and investment between both countries is expected to reach $1 trillion. You can imagine? We've been talking about $1 billion with all Gulf states, to $10 billion, to $1 trillion during the next decade. That is a peace. That is the real meaning of peace. That is the braveness of, yeah. Okay, you can move forward. And here we can see some photos for the Emirati officials and Israeli officials during signing this agreement. You can move forward, please. And here is a tweet from Yair Lapid about this important agreement. He said, today Israel and the United Arab Emirates opened a new chapter of prosperity and cooperation in the Middle East. He did not say between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. He said in the Middle East, because this kind of prosperity for sure will reflect on the other countries.